an example of our GPSing and map routing tools. First of all, there's the phone with Google Maps, which is often incorrect. And also, it fades out, of course, when there's no signal, unless we run our Starlink while we're driving down the road, which we can do because it's up here in the skylight, and we have it hooked up for 12 volt if we need to. The second one is the in-dash GPS, and this is from Winnebago. And the problem is it takes an awful lot of time to set it up. Lots of key punching in alphabet screens, and you know, by the time you get it all set up, you're changing course somewhere else. You have to delete that one and start another one. So we just kind of leave that one go where it shows us where we're presently, at the moment. And we just kind of leave it at that. The third one is my favorite, and that is the Microsoft Streets and Trips on the laptop. It's an old program that's no longer supported, but it still works. And I really love this because I can zoom in and out. I can leave flags and posts of where we've been, what we want to do, where we want to go next. It leaves a blue mouse trail, it's called, of all the places we've been. I can pull up various maps from different trips. So here it shows everything of where we've been, where we're going, what we're doing. And I can change things on the fly with these panels on the side. I can adjust my driving directions and locations. I can get turn-by-turn information. A lot of wonderful stuff on this one, and it's my favorite for graphing and figure out where we're going. I can zoom in and out of any map without losing stuff. We really like this one. So that's how we navigate. And of course, behind Steve's seat back here, we have good old paper maps. And yep, we use paper maps. We enjoy looking at paper maps and looking ahead and looking around, and nothing can beat a paper map. Right, Steve?
Yep, I agree.
Yep, we enjoy it. So now we're just going past Granite Creek. That was the campground we were in last week where the waters were flooding. And now we just went past the entrance to there. We're getting up closer to the Turnagain Arm. The highway here is double wide, or in some spots. And this is probably one of the most well-traveled highways. It's the path that most people take from Anchorage down to the Kenai Peninsula. It's the only road. And we're just commenting on the road construction, what it takes to actually do some construction on this road, and you know how hard it must be to kind of plan it, because ground's frozen in the spring. You can't do a lot until things thaw, and then of course come fall, by the time you get all the road work substructure done, like Steve said, the asphalt needs to be at a certain temperature to cure. So it must be really hard to replace sections of road when it's the only road and the only connection. We went through just a little area this morning where they were doing sealing of the cracks, and it backed up traffic for what, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah, probably 10 minutes.
And Steve thought he'd be a nice guy, pull off and let the backed up traffic go by. My goodness, it took us almost that long to find a clear spot to get back into the traffic to keep going again. So much for being a nice guy, right, Steve?
Yeah, it's probably not worth doing that.
Yeah, but it was, you know, a large amount of traffic backed up behind us. There were tour buses, there were other RVs, there was construction equipment, there were semi-trucks. There's a lot of stuff going by. But Steve thought he'd pull off and let everybody get past. Nobody was giving him a chance to get back in. So anyhow, we are heading up towards the very tip of the Turnagain Arm, and that's where the turnoff was to go down to Whittier and Portage Glacier. And once we get around the tip of it, then we will get up near Beluga Point. The tide's going to be rolling in. It's going to be almost high tide in about an hour. And we're going to look and see if we find any beluga whales. Okay, we're reaching just the very end area of the Turnagain Arm as we go down this hill. We're going lower and lower in elevation. We're down to only 160 feet above sea level. Down, down, down. Technically, this is the last time we're really going to see the ocean, or the arm out of it. This is part of the Cook Inlet in the Turnagain Arm. After this, we're going to be heading east and north to the top of the world. There's no ocean there. So this is about our last exposure to the ocean. And that's why I think we want to try and see a whale. We did see the hump of one when we were down at Haynes out at Mud Bay. There have been some beluga sightings over here in the inlet, so we thought we would stop here at this little viewing point and make some lunch, keep our eyes out. You never know. So we are down now where the Seward Highway meets the highway turnoff that goes down to Whittier and Grand Portage. So now we're only down to 11 feet above sea level, Steve.
11 feet.
Yeah.
Feel the pressure?
Yeah, I feel it in my ears.
More weight on us.
So off here to the left now we'll see the waters of the arm. Let's see as we go around this corner here. Here's some marshy area. It'd be a perfect spot to see a moose standing there, but there aren't any. See, now one could pose right over there. It would look really nice, wouldn't it? It would make a very good picture. But I don't see any. Do you? It's kind of a marshy area on the right side of the road. I'm sure if the road wasn't here, this would all be connected through to the waters. They call it brackish, where the fresh water meets the salt water.
It's probably ocean level right down here.
Yeah. Well, now we're 23 feet above sea level. Yeah, we're up a little bit. It's kind of pretty. Kind of swampy. Lily pads. I'd like to see a moose wading on through, chomping on some weeds. Some seagulls. That's about it for wildlife. It says moose next 3 miles on the warning sign.
Mooses don't know that.
Yeah, the moose don't know that they're supposed to cross there. Whoa. Here, we're trying to turn this around in the other direction. There we go. Back to the highway. We're surrounded by mountains again, all with snow. Isn't that amazing? It's the end of June and there's still snow all over the place. Could go up there and go skiing.
Yeah, we have a couple rough spots.
Yeah, I think so. Might hit a few rocks. Out in this direction, there's some kind of a big wildlife preserve that people have been telling us to go look at. But I guess that almost feels like a zoo. You're looking at all these animals in cages and fenced areas. And it's great that they do that and they help them. But I don't know. I'd rather just take my chances and see if I can see things in their natural habitat. There's the road down to Portage Valley. Portage Glacier. We went down that way and back a couple weeks ago. Yeah, there's that wildlife area. You kind of drive through with your car, you pay your fee, and you drive around and look at all the animals. There's some bison, and they're all in pens. I don't know. I guess it's okay if you want to see some wildlife, but that's not our thing, I guess. And there we are, last glimpse of the very tip edge of the Turnagain Arm. Here we are crawling along the highway, along the edge. Oh, there's no waterfall. I don't know if you saw that with all the reflections. But we're crawling along the edge of the highway. We just stopped for fuel. It was interesting. We had stopped there 2 weeks ago at the same place for diesel fuel. And the price went up 24 cents a gallon because it's the holiday week. We'd remark this is interesting how the road is chiseled out of the cliff. The road and the railroad tracks here to get out through this area. Can you imagine before this was made? Everybody had to go by boat. There's no other way over land. Get a little bit of sunshine. Oh, look at this, just chiseled cliffs to make clearance for just this little lip of a road and the lower lip of railroad tracks to get around here. This year they decided it was easier to go through the hill than around it. That would have been a pretty tight turn. It's called Windy Corner. So here the Turnagain Arm is opened up wider, and that, I assume, also means it's deeper. And that's why Beluga Point up ahead is a good spot for watching for whales, because the water's deeper here. Sadly, this is our last contact with the ocean, because we are turning north and west, and this will be our last time near the ocean. Well, this is actually the inlet. Salt water. Before we turn to head home. It's kind of a sad thought. Tipped you guys a little bit there, sorry. I was looking in the opposite direction. It's holiday traffic week. We gotta get out of town. Oh, the cliffs are pretty close here. This one even, they've covered with a mesh, steel mesh to trap any falling rocks. rocks. At least any big ones. Look at that. Okay, our turnoff is coming up here for Beluga Point. Get across the traffic to get out there. $1,500 feet. Guy's out in the middle. Try and make a left-hand turn. There we go. Maybe we can sneak in right here on this gravel section in front of this truck. We're out of the way. There's a couple other RVs further down. This looks pretty good to me. There. Now we're going to make up some lunch and look out here and see if we can see any whales. Okay, we're at Beluga Point. We haven't seen any whales yet. We've been watching for a while, hoping to see one. Looks like the tide's already starting to roll out. High tide was 12:38. Now we're 1:15. This is a really pretty outcropping of land here that they've set aside for watching the whales. Kind of nice. There are other people here and a few RVs lined up. Inside, we are working on some lunch in the What Have You kitchen. I chopped up tomatoes and onions and lettuce. We're getting everything ready. We're gonna have tacos, and Steve is our hamburger browner. And he's making up extra meat so we have some for manwiches at supper time. So Chef Stevio in the What Have You kitchen. Making lunch.
That's it. Making lunch. Stirring up hamburger.
Browning up the hamburger. We're starting from 2 frozen hunks out of the freezer, so it takes a little while. He's using his favorite white spoon to chop it up. I usually use a meat chopper, but that's what he wants to use. So this one's my favorite one to use. And I chop the meat with that. But hey, if he's doing the cooking, I ain't gonna complain. He can use the utensil he wants. Right, Steve?
I would think so.
Okay, we are right next to the highway here on the one side, the Seward Highway. But out the other side is the beautiful view of Beluga Point and passing motorhomes. Okay, this is it. Our last look at the ocean at Beluga Point before we head northwards and eastwards. We didn't see any whales. We looked out while we were making lunch. We didn't see anything, although some were spotted here yesterday at high tide. You can see the tide is moving out right along in here. It's already moving back out again. So dear, here, let's turn this around. There we go. So this is our end. Here, we'll turn like this. Woo!
Yeah.
This is our end of the ocean. It's time to head home. We're at the halfway point, right?
Yep. Head up. Head north.
North and east.
Yep. Northeast.
Yeah, we gotta get through Anchorage yet with all the crazy holiday traffic.
Yep.
But it's time to head on.
Yes, it is.
halfway point. But our way home is going to be mostly all different roads than our way here. So that's what's going to make it even more interesting. Right?
Yes, that's right. Looks good.
Okay, goodbye ocean, goodbye Turnagain Arm, goodbye salty sea air. It's time for us to hit the road. There we go. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Okay, we just drove through downtown Anchorage on Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. We made it. Looks like up ahead we got some stormy weather. Heading towards Palmer. Let's see how far we get. Going past the airport right now. All the airplanes over here. People drive them around like they do fancy cars in our neck of the woods. That's how a lot of people get transferred back and forth to their properties that are out in rural areas. So flying planes is pretty common around here. These are all different private owners or shuttling companies. And we're going past a bunch of hangars. Here's a airplane parking lot coming up. Look at this. Fly into town, park it, and take an Uber to go do your shopping. Visit with friends, come back, load up your plane, and go back to your island or your little remote cabin off-grid somewhere. Pretty cool. Okay, we're getting past all this traffic now. Hopefully it'll lighten up as we get east out of town. I think we're pretty lucky to go through in the early afternoon before it gets too crazy. What do you think, Steve, for the driving?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, we only had one quick stop.
Yep.
Where everybody hit the brakes ahead of us. We don't know why. We hit ours. And then they all started going again. So somebody panic stopped somewhere, and we don't know what the reason was. Okay, we are back at the Matenuska Glacier View Rec area where we were on the way out a month ago. And Steve is getting an envelope right away from the fee station. We know that there's about 10 campsites and hopefully we'll get one. It looks like we will. Here we are, right back at Matenuska Glacier where we were last month, and on the exact same campsite, number 2. This time though, it's beautiful and sunny. After all that rainy weather we drove through today, up alongside of the Turnagain Arm and all the way through Anchorage and Palmer and Wasilla, and look at the beautiful evening we have. Gorgeous out. So we're going to walk down by the glacier. So it's $25 a night. This is a state forest rec area, so they do not accept our half price pass. No hookups. But we wanted to pull off the highway and get somewhere comfortable for the night rather than just staying on a pullout. So this is what we chose. We're way under budget anyhow. We're going to do our budget video tomorrow, but we're way under budget for camping. We've been at a lot of free places and lower priced places. Wow. Look at the beautiful sky. Oh, what's this bird coming?
Looks like an eagle.
Looks like an eagle. I can't zoom in with this camera, but we'll watch him for a minute.
Look at a white head. Yeah, that's an eagle.
Last time we were here, it was freezing cold, icy, windy, sleet, and snow. Now, the only ice and snow we see is over there on the glacier. What a difference. So, here we are. Woo, I'm trying to hang on. Here we are at Matenuska Glacier, somewhere back there in the background. And this is a far cry different weather than when we were here last time.
Yeah, much nicer, much warmer.
Beautiful.
A little less wind.
Yeah. Not only that, it's not full of sleet and ice and snow like it was last time.
That too.
Yeah, which was just like a month and a half ago.
Yep.
So.
It's all melted and leafed out. Leaves.
Yeah. So we're enjoying our walk this evening from the campground. And we thought we'd come over here and check out the glacier. This is kind of our last blast before we hit the highway again tomorrow.
Towards Toke.
Glen Ellen.
Glen Ellen.
Then Toke.
Yep, then Toke.
Yeah. You're rushing it.
No,
You're rushing to get out of Alaska. From there we go to Chicken. And then we're going on the top of the world.
Yep. Top of